Hello and welcome to a brand new program here on Eurosport. Kick as we preview the World Motocross Championship scene through 1997. Before the start of the World Championship season proper, and the traditional start of term party takes place in the south of France at Beaucaire. It's a chance to catch up with some of the new riders who maybe have switched teams over the winter, the new bikes and the new outfits for the season. We're going to start our preview to the championship with a look at the 250 scene, and the main favourite for the title will once again be Stefan Everts, who's won the championship in the last 2 years. This year his aim will be to try and increase his title score to get closer to that of his father, who won 3 125 championships and 1 250 championship during the 1970s and into the 1980s.
I have the same ambitions. If it's possible, I want to win my 4th world title and equal my father. He won 4 titles, and also I'm very close to his overall GP victories. His are 26 and 2 more, and I equal that too.
It's a change for the 1997 season. Stefan's built up his own team this year with manager Dave Grant, and he's got a factory-supported Honda. He rode a Honda last year, but with the RWJ Diesels team. He's got full support from Honda again, and he really wants to prove that the new 250 CR Honda is a race-winning bike.
Critics, and I don't have any problems with it. My riding feels even a little better. The handling of the bike is really good, and concerning the stiffness of the frame, I don't have any problems with it. I feel really good, and I'll try to show the people what this bike is capable to do.
Runner-up in the World Championship in 1995 and 1996, the Belgian Monique Beverts. He started off the season very strongly last year and led it for much of the times, but Stefan Everts came through in the latter stages of the championship to grab the title from beneath Monique Beverts. So Beverts out for a little bit of revenge this year.
I think I understood what happened last year, because it was the first year I was leading the championship, and I never had that before. I never had that feeling before, but now I know what I have to do. If I have in the same situation, I will take it completely different. The way it happened last year was really bad, so I think I will be stronger this year.
No revolutionary changes as he continues with Johnson Suzuki for 1997, but he feels very confident that he can put in some good results with this bike.
They work really hard on it, because last year we had a little bit problems with it, but they work so hard on it that the bike is so good. It's really good. I'm really happy with the bike. We have to work a little bit on the suspension, but then we have, I think, the best bike here.
Third in the championship in 1995 and 96, the 250s, the American Talon Vollen, and he'll again be out to try and take the title this year. Vollen quits Kawasaki to ride for the Rinaldi team Yamaha, and that's given him some added motivation as he goes in to the new championship season. But can he beat Everts and Beverts?
Yeah, no, changing teams is always a motivator, and I'm very motivated right now. The bike is working really well, more than I expected. And of course, I go also after 95. I was trying to go for the win last year, and I just come up a little bit short in the end. So I think that with a new motivation and this new bike, that this could be Talon Vollen's year. So I feel strong, and I think that the results today and here on after will speak for themselves.
Vollen's decided to change his outlook and his plan for the season a little bit. In the past, he's always started the seasons fairly steadily to look to score points consistently. But this year, he's out to try and win from the very start of the season. Out to try and win the first Grand Prix and then take it from there. Number 4 in 1996, after a bit of an up-and-down season, the Frenchman Yves de Maria. And once again, he'll be one of the top French riders in the championship this year. He switched to Honda in Paolo Martin's team, and with that factory-supported Honda, he hopes to be back into the winning ways for the championship.
Je voulais absolument une Honda.
I wanted a Honda absolutely, as I've had my best performances, my best seasons in the past with Honda. It's known as a great manufacturer, so I have done my best to be on a Honda for this year. Now I have achieved that. The rest now depends on me. Another Frenchman is Frédéric Bollé. He finished 5th in the championship last year. He was very consistent during the course of the season, and he won his first ever Grand Prix at the final round at Roggenburg. He had an injury sustained during the autumn, but that's now forgotten, and he's going to try his best to improve his standings in the overall points classification by the end, and perhaps he's even in with an outside chance of the title. Of course, I'll have to do better if I want to win the title, so I've just got to try my hardest. Perhaps I won't be out to try and win the first 5 Grand Prix. I shall work to be consistent, and then by mid-season we'll see exactly where we're at, see how I feel, see if I'm physically in good shape, and then perhaps I can try for the title. The rookie of the year in 1995 was the German Pit Beirer, but he had a more difficult season in 1996 and only finished 7th in the overall classification. The sometime triathlete Beirer has proved that he could battle with the top riders on some occasions, but perhaps needs more consistency if he's to really go for honours.
Ja, ich denke, man kann sicherlich immer lernen, oder man muss als jeder Saison
You're always learning. I made a few big mistakes last year, and my second season in 250s was perhaps worse than my first year. Perhaps I couldn't handle the pressure properly, and during the year I had a big dip. The bike was working well. I really just had no excuse. I was too slow. But I can remember what I was doing wrong at that time, and I'll try to do better this year. I learned a lot, and I hope to have learned from the mistakes I made. Last of the other 250 front-runners that was present here in Beaucaire, the Swedish rider Joachim Karlsson. He was 9th in 96. He was injured during the season when he was lying in 4th in the championship. Karlsson is on a Honda, again factory-supported CR in the RWJ team. He's now the team leader for them.
Yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself, but like Colin, the team manager, he never put any pressure on me. It's always been relaxed, everything, and I feel really good in this team. I think most of the pressure is coming from myself, but I like a lot of pressure on me. I ride always better when I have that, so it's good.
Some other riders we'll be looking at after the break, and also watch out for the British rider Rob Herring in 1997. He'll be on a factory-backed Yamaha after his most intensive winter fitness program ever. More riders coming up after the break.
Merci.
Welcome back to Kick. I'll look at the scene for the World Championship Motocross races throughout 1997. We're back looking at the 250s at the moment. There'll be 2 top rookies. One of them is the 125 champion from last year, the Frenchman Sébastien Tortelli. He dominated the 125s during 1996, and he's not really a true beginner in the 250s in 97 because he's been putting in a bit of practice, some French motocross rounds at the end of last season, plus some experience in the United States over the winter to get Tortelli in top form. I rode the 250 in Supercross, and it's given me a great deal of experience. I've learned a lot, and by racing in the United States you're up against some really top-level competition. The 250 is exactly as I hoped it would be. They've modified what I've needed, and I feel really comfortable on the bike. It's all brand new to me, of course, but it's a bit like a new toy, so I should be in good shape. Many people think that Tortelli will be the world champion in his first ever 250 season, but the 18-year-old is refusing to go and say that he's out to take the title. He's taking it a little bit more carefully than that. He's an intelligent man as well as a very, very impressive motocross rider.
Je verrai comment ça se déroule. Si je vois que je suis
I'll see how it goes. If I'm away from the top competitors, then it's going to be a learning year to prepare for the following season. But if I'm okay, then I will definitely try and achieve a good result at the end of it. Of course, I'm out to do well. I feel comfortable, I've got a lot of pleasure from the 250, so there's no reason why it should be bad. The second top newcomer is an American. In fact, it's Mike Brown here, number 75, and he'll be riding his first ever European season due to a phone call from the Rinaldi team looking for someone to replace Demaria.
I was fixing to do a deal with another team in America, and the Rinaldi team was a lot better than what I had there, so I decided to come over here and try this out. It's really hard, I guess, to get adapted to the way of living over here. It's a lot different than from the United States, but the last couple weeks I've been here has been really good, so hopefully the rest of the year can even get better.
Brown will be competing with Rinaldi's team along with Talon Voland, and despite being a little inexperienced on European tracks, he was going very well here in Beaucaire and putting his name up amongst the front runners.
Maybe I know for sure it'll be a learning year because all the tracks will be new to me, but hopefully I can go out and maybe win a few motos and finish the overall season very good, and next year come out and try to win for the championship.
Back to the Frenchman and 250 French Supercross champion Thierry Betty should be in all of the events in 97. His aim not to win the title perhaps, but to finish in the top 10. Absent in Beaucaire, the Dutchman Pedro Tractor will ride on a Honda this year, sponsored by Honda of Troy. It's an American business, and it's a mail order business trying to increase their sales in Europe throughout the season. They hope that the former 125 champion will help them do that. Let's switch our attention now to the Open Championship, the 500cc and the two strokes as well. The runner-up in 1996 was the Belgian Joel Smets. The world champion himself, Shane King, wasn't here at Beaucaire for this pre-season run, but Joel Smets, injured during the winter of 95-96, will be much more ready for this season.
We always work really hard in the winter, but the difference is that last winter I couldn't try the bike because of my knee, and I couldn't do footing, running. So that's what made it bad for me, and my physical condition wasn't perfect with the first GP, and I couldn't try the bike, so I really didn't feel confident on the bike, and that's what caused me so much problems, and I made so many mistakes, too many.
Apart from Shane King and Joel Smets, the other main title favourites will be two riders on the new Yamaha 400. There's the Swedish rider Peter Johansson and the Italian Andrea Bartolini. Bartolini was 6th in last year's 250 World Championship, but he's made the switch into the bigger class after rather falling in love with this brand new Yamaha. Yamaha asked me whether I wanted to ride the new bike in the 500cc class. My first reaction was to say no, but then I went to test the bike in Japan, and I really just fell in love with it, just as if it was a beautiful girl. Bartolini is many people's favourite to take the title in his first year in 500s, but he prefers to talk about a top 5 position, as initially he's got to get used to riding with a 4-stroke engine rather than the 2-stroke 250. It's very different to ride, as the engine really shuts down, slows down very quickly when you cut off the gas. So I've just got to get used to it as quickly as possible and then do my best. And we'll end our look at the 500 class with the British rider, Kurt Nicholl, 32 years old. He's left the 250 scene to go back into the 500 class, where he was runner-up in the championship 4 times in the past.
The KTM proved itself to be very competitive last year. Shane King was world champion on the bike, and I had a pretty hard time last year in 250 to be competitive, so I figured, to take this season to have a real go for the championship, I should take a bike that was ready and competitive like it was, so that's why I want to race with the 360 KTM.
And we end part two with a preview of the 125 scene. Some of the top riders were not in Beaucaire, but the second place man and third place from 96 were there. In fact, the British rider Paul Malin was there. He's one of the main favourites for the title in 1997, finishing runner-up to Sébastien Tortelli last year, but nobody could match the fearless Frenchman. Paul Malin is out to try and take the 125 title this time.
Well, I've been working really hard in the winter. I've been riding very much, and my physical training has come on a lot since last year. I'm looking forward to the first round in Indonesia. It's going to be very hot, but I'm hoping that I can win the World Championship, but I'll know a lot more after the first round in Indonesia.
Despite being pretty confident and very well prepared, Malin knows that the season will be a tough battle. Even though Tortelli has gone, the level between the other riders promises to be very, very close indeed.
I think there's probably 10 or 12 guys can win a race in 97, so it's going to make the class very interesting. A lot of people think that because Tortelli has left, I should automatically win the championship, but it doesn't always work that way. But I'll be doing my best to try and win the championship for sure.
Similar thoughts for the Frenchman Frédéric Vial, who was third last season. Vial knows that he will have a lot more rivals to try and chase the title during the season, but he also knows that nobody is likely to dominate in quite the way that Sébastien Tortelli did last year. We're all pretty much at the same level. Last year, Sébastien rather sort of killed the championship. It was very difficult to believe in your own chances when the same rider was winning absolutely everything. And that's really why I'm waiting for the first Grand Prix this year. Two Italian riders who went back last year into 250 without a lot of success will be in 125s again this year. The 95 world champion Alex Pouzard and the 95-96 runner-up in the world championship Alessia Chiodi. There'll also be some other favourites, the Frenchman, the 17-year-old David Villemin, and from the UK, Jamie Dobb on a factory Suzuki, the 24-year-old from Derby who's been competing for the last 4 years in the American 125 Supercross Championship. So the 125 Championship promises to be very closely fought. Welcome back to Kick as we now turn our attention to the racing at Beaucaire, the real preview to the beginning of the World Championship and to see just how some of the favourites are likely to perform. So the bike's lining up for the first of 3 races, each race some 10 laps, and we've got all 3 classes running together, the 125s, the 250s and the open class, the 500s. A few questions concerning the likes of Sébastien Tortelli, new to the 250 scene, that new Yamaha 400 that we're looking at in the open class, and some others. That's the beauty of this race, a chance to see just who has got the initial advantage before the real World Championship gets underway. And the whole shot for Mike Brown, the American, who we spoke to earlier on in the programme, has switched to 250s this year, and he's got the initial advantage from Frédéric Bollet, Pit Byra, and Sébastien Tortelli is back in 4th position at the moment. The rest of them following through. Remember, a mix of all the different classes in this race, as coming through number 1 there, quite a long way back for the man who we may have expected to be going a bit better, Stefan Everts, the double 250 world champion. Mike Brown still leading, but Sébastien Tortelli's now moved up to 2nd position. There's Mike Brown, there is Sébastien Tortelli, number 24, up into 2nd position and really chasing after the American. The American trying to get used to the European tracks, the European scene. Good conditions, fairly dry track here in the south of France for them to get used to initially. Very different to some of the wet, muddy tracks that he'll have to adapt to. Sébastien Tortelli takes the advantage though. The Frenchman, of course, very familiar to this sort of terrain from all his years of French motocross riding, takes over the lead, and Mike Brown goes back to 2nd. Frédéric Bollet is in 3rd place, number 5. Pit Byra is in 4th position. Monique Levert's in 5th, and he's the first of the 500s. So on the big bike, Monique Levert's is the front runner so far, but up front it's Sébastien Tortelli, who looks as though he's going to come through to win the first race of the year. Not a championship race, but still an important win for the young Frenchman moving upper class. I'm very happy with my start. I was third or fourth away from the line, and then I basically built my race from there. Bollé was pretty cool. He let me go through, and then I caught Mike Brown. He saw that I was coming up on him, and he was making a few mistakes, so I decided to wait a little rather than attack. Pushed him, and then he just went straight on, and I was through. So we're on to the start of the second race, and this time the whole shot for Frédéric Bollé, number 5, ahead of Mike Brown. The American still going well, but at the end of the first lap, Brown it is, in fact, who comes ahead of Bollé. Kurt Nichols gone well. He's up into third place on the 360 KTM. That's the two-stroke KTM running the open class, the 500 class, but with the two strokes, it's a 360cc engine. Kurt Nichols back in that class going well. Tortelli, though, number 24, has had a fall. He's dropped back this time, the winner of the first race, back down to just outside the top 10. And it's Mike Brown who leads from Frédéric Bollé, number 5 there. It's again the battle between the American and a Frenchman. It's just a different Frenchman this time. Talon Volland, number 3, he's taken third place, so another American running well. Fourth place for Stefan Everts there, number 1, who's got ahead of Britain's Kurt Nichols. Into the final laps, Frédéric Bollé getting a little closer to Mike Brown. Brown still under pressure and in fact making a mistake, and it's Bollé who comes back into view ahead. Frédéric Bollé has taken over the lead. Brown is now down to second place, and in fact no, further down than that. Brown's down to third because Talon Volland has come up into second position. So it's Bollé who wins race 2 ahead of Volland, Brown, Everts and Nichols.
J'ai profité d'une petite erreur de Mike Brown.
I benefited from a mistake from Mike Brown. He was pushing pretty hard. I let him go. He fell 2 laps before the end. I'm happy. I didn't push myself too much. It's good for me. So the third and final race at Beaucaire. And this time the whole shot once again for the American, number 75. Consistently rapid off the line, and the guys are going to have to watch out for him on the 250 scene, there's no doubt about that. He launches himself into an early lead, and it's Kurt Nichols who's in second position, Tortelli in third position. Behind him, Bartolini on the 400cc Yamaha. He's going well. Frédéric Bollé, Talon Volland and Stefan Everts round up the next runners. Mike Brown still leading as Tortelli has moved up into second place. Third place for Talon Volland. Kurt Nichols dropped back to fourth position on the KTM, but this track not really suiting the bigger bikes. It suits the more nimble 250s, and Kurt Nichols still doing a fine job on that KTM in the open class, and at the moment he's the front runner of the big bikes, as up front still the battle going on. Brown still with the advantage, and there's been a clash between Bollé and Bartolini. So those two have dropped back. Brown still leads. Tortelli second. Volland is in third. Brown just taking a little look over his shoulder. In fact, Volland's come up there, as you can see, into second place. And Talon Volland is really the man on the charge now. We've got the battle between the two Americans. Talon Volland, number 3, is getting past Mike Brown. And Brown has been consistently the front runner, but it doesn't look as though he's going to win any of the individual heats as Talon Volland goes ahead. Brown stays in second place. Tortelli is still in third place. There he is, number 24. Bartolini's in fourth. And Stefan Everts, very quiet opening race this for Everts. He's next up on the number 1 bike. Everts making a bit of progress in the closing stages, and in fact he will come through to finish in third position in the end, but it's going to be Talon Volland who wins this third heat, the third race, with Mike Brown finishing in second place. Stefan Everts third, Bartolini fourth ahead of Tortelli and Kurt Nichols.
I was quite disappointed with that second moto. Had a little arm pump, but that was my first moto today because of crashing out on the first lap, so I think I was just a bit nervous. Second moto I really loosened up, rode perfect race, exactly what I wanted. Good start and then just pass a couple guys and winning.
But with 3 podium finishes, it's Mike Brown, the newcomer from America, who takes the overall victory. A superb start to his European and World Championship campaign.
This is my first race. I think I did pretty good for the very first race, and Chesterfield's going great. Yamahas are going good. Hopefully we can do this all year long, man, Talon.
So Brown the winner from Bollé. Tortelli was third on the overall standings, and Everts was fourth. Kurt Nichols was the top of the open class contenders. He was 7th overall. Mark Eastwood from the UK finished in 11th place. Well, this new program, Kick, will be bringing you news and action from all of the 1997 World Motocross Championships. So I hope you'll look out for our new show from Ben Edwards for this week. The first Kick. Goodbye for now.